Welcome to Deep Dive. Today we're taking a close look at, well, a critical and really evolving situation. It's impacting thousands of individuals. We're talking about the mounting challenges faced by Indian students pursuing higher education in the United States.
Yeah, it's a really complex issue. There are so many moving parts, everything from visa enforcement changes to pretty significant shifts in the job market.
Exactly, and we're here to sort of comprehensively explore it for you.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how you have this confluence of factors. Specific policy changes, definitely escalating economic pressures, and, well, a notable pivot in immigration strategy. They're all converging, really, to create a profoundly challenging landscape, often quite unpredictable for these students. We're going to dive deep into the specifics of these challenges and then try to broaden our lens a bit to understand the wider implications.
Right. Our mission for this deep dive is simple: to give you a clear, comprehensive understanding of this complex situation. We want to highlight the essential facts, connect them to the very real human impact, and make sure you walk away well-informed, equipped with a deeper perspective on this vital subject.
Absolutely.
So to really understand the gravity, let's first zero in on the immediate hurdles, the things these students are facing right now. You might have caught snippets in the news, maybe seen headlines, but the hard numbers, they paint a rather stark picture of these immediate challenges.
They really do.
We're observing what really amounts to a dual crisis directly impacting Indian students. First, significantly stricter visa enforcement. And second, coupled with that, a rapidly tightening job market, especially for that crucial part-time work.
Yeah, that part-time piece is critical.
So, for instance, recent official data reveals that over 4,700 student visas have been revoked just in recent months.
Wow, 4,700. That's a significant number.
Yeah, it is. And this isn't just a statistical blip, right? These revocations are happening for specific reasons. Primarily things like irregular attendance in their academic programs or, crucially, unauthorized employment.
Unauthorized employment being key there.
Definitely. Imagine the immense stress. You've dedicated yourself to rigorous studies, moved halfway across the world, and then, boom, your visa is abruptly canceled.
It just pulls the rug out from under you.
Completely. It means abandoning your academic pursuits, packing up your life, leaving the country, often with very little warning.
And this brings us to a really fundamental question, doesn't it? What does it genuinely mean for a student day to day to suddenly have their visa rescinded? Or maybe just as impactful, to find themselves completely unable to work? Because these part-time jobs, like you said, they weren't just for, pocket money.
Not at all.
They were an absolute lifeline. They covered essential living costs. We're talking rent, groceries, maybe transportation, basic survival stuff.
Without which continuing their studies becomes, well, virtually impossible.
Exactly. And now, with increased workplace inspections happening across several U.S. states, many students have just been forced to abandon these critical positions. They're scared, frankly.
Understandably so.
And the sudden loss of income, it leaves them in an incredibly precarious financial situation. It makes it extraordinary. It absolutely does. It can force them into making really difficult choices. Maybe dropping out, maybe taking less demanding courses just to survive.
Potentially stifling those original aspirations they had for cutting-edge research or, starting something new.
Yeah, the very reasons they often chose the U.S.
Okay, so those are the immediate struggles. But beyond these very personal, very real challenges, this situation, it reflects something broader, doesn't it?
It really does. It's a clear reflection of a much broader geopolitical and, frankly, domestic environment of tightening immigration controls.
These aren't just isolated incidents, then?
Not at all. They're part of a larger interconnected trend. And understanding that wider context, that's what we need to connect for you now.
Right. Let's zoom out a bit.
So, if we expand our view to that wider landscape, we can definitely identify several significant policy shifts that are profoundly impacting not just Indian students, but also, by extension, Indian professionals who often follow that student-to-worker pathway.
Okay, what are those key shifts?
Well, one major area is what's being called the green card freeze. Essentially, the U.S. has temporarily halted issuing EB-2 green cards.
Okay, just to clarify for listeners, EB-2, that's typically for?
Right, good point. EB-2 is generally for individuals with advanced degrees, masters, PhDs, or those with exceptional abilities in fields like sciences, arts, or business. The kind of highly skilled talent many international students hope to become.
Got it. High-skilled category. And that's frozen until when?
Until September 30, 2025.
Oh.
And the reason given is that the annual caps, the quotas for this category, have already been met for the fiscal year.
Okay.
Now, this pause disproportionately affects Indian applicants. Why? Because they already face some of the longest wait times. This is due to something called per-country limits.
Ah, the per-country caps.
Exactly. Only a fixed percentage of these permanent residency visas can go to citizens of any single country each year, no matter how high the demand is from that country. India has huge demand.
So this freeze effectively slams the door shut, at least temporarily, on a critical pathway to permanent residency for many Indians who are already in the queue or hoping to get in.
That's right. It sends a pretty clear signal about long-term opportunities, or the lack thereof, at least for now.
So it's not just about getting in for education anymore, it's about what happens after graduation. Is there a viable path to stay and contribute? This freeze really takes a major long-term goal off the table for a lot of people.
Precisely. It creates enormous uncertainty about the future.
Right.
And adding to that, there's the H-1B visa system.
Which is absolutely vital for so many international graduates, especially from India, right? To transition from student to worker.
Absolutely critical. And it's also undergoing significant overhauls. For starters, we've seen a dramatic surge in the registration fee. Just the fee to enter the lottery.
How much of a surge?
It jumped from a pretty modest $10 up to $250.
Wow, that's a 25-fold increase.
It is. And that's not just a minor administrative change. It's a significant financial hurdle, especially for individuals paying it themselves or for small companies trying to sponsor someone.
You bet.
This fee increase, combined with other policy adjustments, has already contributed to a really substantial drop in H-1B registrations. For fiscal year 2026, registrations fell by 26.9%.
Nearly 27% drop. That's huge.
It is. And out of the hundreds of thousands who likely applied, only about 120,141 to be exact, were actually selected for further processing. That's a considerable reduction from previous years. It indicates a much tighter bottleneck for getting that initial work visa.
That really changes the calculation, doesn't it, for potential applicants? It means individuals are taking on more financial risk up front for a significantly lower chance of success. That might just deter some really bright people from even trying.
Absolutely. It alters the cost-benefit analysis significantly. And there's potentially more change coming.
Oh.
Well, there are proposals, pretty serious ones, suggesting a shift away from the current random lottery system for H-1B visas.
Away from the lottery. To what?
To a wage-based selection model. It's often called a weighted selection process. And the timeline for potential implementation could be as early as 2026.
Wage-based. So higher salary offers get priority.
That's the essence of it. Instead of random chance, applicants with higher proposed salaries, which often implies higher skill sets or maybe more in-demand specializations, might get preferential treatment. This would fundamentally reshape the landscape. It moves the focus from pure luck to one where initial economic contribution, measured by salary, takes precedence.
What would that mean in practice?
Well, one potential consequence is that entry-level positions, or maybe research-focused roles in academia or nonprofits, which often have lower starting salaries but maybe immense long-term potential, those could become much harder to secure through the H-1B.
Right, because they wouldn't compete well on salary alone against, say, a high-paying tech job, even if the research role is critical.
Exactly. It could skew the types of jobs international workers can access.
So, putting this all together, we have the immediate visa issues, the green card freeze, these H-1B changes. What does it all mean when we look at the bigger picture? Are we just seeing new policies, or is there carryover from the past too?
Oh, definitely carryover. We're not just talking about current policy shifts creating these immediate barriers. We're also seeing the lingering ripple effects, this sort of long shadow from past administrations.
You mean specifically the Trump administration's approach?
Yes, the broader immigration clampdowns from that era. Things like increased visa scrutiny, often with very little transparency or explanation, and the palpable threat of deportation that created an atmosphere of fear and instability.
And that feeling persists.
It absolutely does. It continues to cast a long shadow. We hear from Indian students and scholars about growing uncertainty, not just about their current legal status, but even about simple things like traveling home for a visit and being able to re-enter the U.S. There's a heightened sense of legal vulnerability.
That sounds incredibly stressful.
It is. And this isn't just about administrative changes or rising fees anymore. It's about reshaping the long-term hopes, the plans, the dreams for an entire generation who once saw a clearer, more predictable path for their education and careers in the U.S.
The psychological toll of living with that constant uncertainty, It must be immense.
It really can't be overstated. It impacts mental health, focus, that overall sense of security, all during what should be a time of intense learning and personal growth.
So when we combine all these pieces then, the sudden visa revocations, the difficulty finding work, the freeze on that EB2 green card pathway, and the significant H-1B changes, both the ones happening now and the ones proposed, it just paints a picture of profound, pervasive uncertainty for thousands and thousands of Indian students.
It really does.
This is truly more than just an academic setback, isn't it? For many, it feels more like an existential crisis. It impacts every part of their lives, daily survival, long-term dreams, everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And without the ability to earn that crucial income through part-time work, even meeting the most basic living expenses becomes a monumental challenge, often, frankly, an insurmountable one.
Just imagine trying to focus on advanced studies, excel in courses, network for your future career,
While constantly worrying about rent, food, health insurance, even next semester's tuition.
It's an incredible burden.
That level of financial precarity makes their academic journey incredibly difficult. It adds immense sustained stress. We've heard accounts, students cutting down to one meal a day or living in really crowded situations just to pool resources and stretch funds.
That's heartbreaking.
And that pressure often forces them to maybe abandon their original academic goals, sometimes even their studies entirely, just to find alternative ways to survive.
And looking ahead then, with visa conditions tightening pretty much across the board, and those established pathways to permanent residency either stalled or becoming significantly harder to navigate.
The future just looks far less certain, doesn't it?
It really does. Less certain than ever for this group hoping to study and work in the U.S. It's such a fluid, challenging situation.
Yeah.
It's forcing thousands of individuals into making incredibly tough decisions. Do they continue their studies under this pressure? Do they look at options in other countries? Canada, Europe, Australia?
Or do they just return home, maybe with an unfinished degree and dashed hopes?
It requires an incredible amount of resilience just to navigate day to day. And it's a narrative that I think speaks volumes about the shifting landscape of international education and global talent mobility right now.
It really does.
Yeah.
So maybe it's helpful to sort of summarize the key threads we've discussed.
Good idea. Let's pull it together.
Okay. So what we've really witnessed is this multifaceted crisis hitting Indian students and professionals. It starts with that tightened visa enforcement, especially for student visas, leading to thousands of revocations. That's happening alongside a shrinking part-time job market, which was, as we said, a critical financial lifeline.
The immediate ground-level crisis.
Exactly. Then that immediate struggle is profoundly compounded by these broader significant policy changes. We talked about the freeze on the EB2 green card, a key pathway blocked. We discussed the major overhauls to the H-1B visa system. Those substantially increased fees, making it more expensive to even try, the drop in selections, making it harder to succeed, and the proposed shift to wage-based selections potentially changing who gets selected.
Reshaping the whole H-1B landscape.
Right, and layered on top of all that are the lingering effects of past immigration clampdowns, which continue to foster that atmosphere of fear and instability. So all these interconnected factors, they contribute to this climate of severe financial precarity and just immense uncertainty for a really critical segment of the international student population in the U.S.
That's a great summary.
The key takeaway here seems clear. These aren't isolated issues hitting students randomly. They are interconnected policy shifts and economic pressures creating a significant systemic challenge for many.
That's the crux of it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's a provocative thought for you, our listeners, to consider? Something to reflect on. What are the broader societal implications of policies like these? Think about global talent mobility. Where's the best talent go if one door becomes harder to open?
And what about the future of international education itself? Does this change how attractive the U.S. is as a destination?
And perhaps crucially, what about the U.S. economy's own capacity for innovation? Its standing in global research and development in the long run? How might reshaping these opportunities impact not just individual students, but the entire ecosystem?
How might these changes, perhaps unintentionally, prompt other nations to become more attractive destinations for this talent pool? Lots to think about there.
Indeed. That brings us to the end of today's deep dive into the significant challenges faced by Indian students in the U.S. We really hope this discussion has provided you with a clear and comprehensive overview of this very important subject matter.
Understanding these dynamics is, I think, crucial for anyone interested in global education trends, immigration policy, and ultimately talent development and economic competitiveness. These trends could have really far-reaching effects.
Absolutely. Well, all the best, and we will meet again with another important matter in the next meeting.